Hello and welcome. Today we're going to dig into something really interesting, the powerful forces that are totally reshaping India's economy. We're talking about what's creating a whole new wave of opportunity, both inside the country and out on the global stage. So let's jump right in.
And this quote right here, it really just sets the perfect stage for our whole conversation. It's from Bala Subramanian, the CEO of Birla Sun Life Asset Management, and it points to this very deliberate, strategic push to get the Indian consumer spending again. This isn't just some accident, it's a kickstart, as he says, to a full-blown consumption boom.
So that naturally leads us to the million-dollar question. What exactly is fueling this whole thing? Well, it's not just one thing. It's actually a really powerful combination of factors all working together. Let's break it down. First up, let's talk about the domestic side of things. India's consumption boom. We're looking at the internal engines that are being revved up to power the economy from the inside out.
And here are the two main levers being pulled to make it all happen. On one side, you've got interest rate cuts. That makes it cheaper for regular people to borrow money for big-ticket items like homes and cars. Then, on the other side, you get these surprise GST cuts, which directly lower the price of goods, to get those cash registers ringing. It's a classic 1-2 punch, and it's all designed to get demand soaring.
So, while that domestic engine is firing on all cylinders, India is also looking outwards in a big way. And that brings us to our second section. The global trade push. This is all about how new international deals are swinging open the doors for Indian exports. Now, before we get any further, let's just make sure we're all on the same page with a key term here, a free trade agreement, or FTA. All it is, really, is a deal between countries to cut or get rid of tariffs, which are basically taxes on imported stuff. The whole point is to make it cheaper and way easier for businesses to sell their goods across borders. And this right here is a perfect example of the new strategy in action. The India-Australia agreement is a huge deal, not just because of the trade it'll create, but because it's the first major free trade agreement India has signed with a big, developed economy in over 10 years. That signals a massive shift in thinking and opens up a giant new market for Indian goods. And here's where it starts to feel really real. Take a look at this number. A proposed deal with the UK, for example, could slash those tariffs on Indian textiles by 8 to 12%. So what does that actually mean? Well, it gives Indian products a serious price advantage over competitors from places like China or Turkey. It's a game changer. This leads us perfectly into our case study. Let's zoom in on one specific area, the textile sector. It's pretty much set to be one of the biggest winners from all of these new trade deals. I mean, just look at this chart. It really shows you the kind of impact we're talking about from that Australia deal alone. We're seeing a projected jump from around $400 million to over $1 billion. That's nearly tripling exports. And get this, that growth is expected to create over 40,000 jobs a year just to keep up with the new demand. The potential here is absolutely massive. Okay, so if the whole sector is about to boom, who are the actual players we should be looking at? Let's profile 3 specific companies that are in a fantastic position to really capitalize on this opportunity. First up, we've got Indo-Count Industries. These guys are the biggest exporter of bed linens from India globally. While the US is their main market, the UK and Europe already make up about 12% of their sales. With lower tariffs, well, you can see how that number is set to grow. And they've got a seriously bold target to double their revenue by 2028. Next, there's KPR Mills. This is a huge integrated company. They do everything from spinning the yarn to making the final piece of clothing. Now, the key thing to notice here is their export exposure. A whopping 36% of their revenue comes from exports, and more than half of that goes to Europe. So a new trade deal with the UK would be a direct shot in the arm for their bottom line. And finally, let's talk about Vardhman Textiles. We're talking about India's #1 spinner of cotton yarn. These guys are deeply, deeply woven into the global supply chain. They export to over 60 countries and supply massive brands you've definitely heard of, like Walmart and H&M. They are exactly the kind of company that's perfectly positioned to benefit from better tariff deals. All right, now as exciting as all of this sounds, we have to be smart about it. It's absolutely crucial to add a little dose of market reality to balance out all this optimism. And this slide really lays out what we could call the investor's dilemma. The upside is crystal clear, right? Tariff-free access, strong demand, it's all great. But here's the catch. The market already knows this. Stock prices for these companies have already surged. For instance, KPR Mills is trading at a price-to-earnings ratio of 55. That's over 3 times its 10-year average. So while the outlook is fantastic, a lot of that good news might already be baked into the price.
But let's zoom back out for our final section here. Because, and this is important, this is not just a story about textiles. The same forces are creating ripple effects across the entire economy.
Yeah, the potential here goes way beyond just fabrics. Thanks to that same Australia deal, gems and jewelry exports could jump by nearly 60%. Pharmaceuticals could triple. Indian car companies are going to get much better access to Australia's $27 billion auto import market. The scale of this opportunity is truly economy-wide. So what this all really boils down to is a powerful two-pronged strategy. You boost spending at home, while at the same time, you aggressively open up new markets abroad. It's a profound shift, for sure. And it leaves us with this final thought to chew on. As India keeps forging these new global partnerships, where do you think the next big wave of growth is going to come from? Thanks for tuning in.